It was against my better judgment that about a week ago I, seeing wave after wave of fan art and positive community discussion, decided to finally trudge into something I really didn't want to watch. As they say, curiosity killed the cat, but apparently it also makes the cat stare at a show about anthropomorphized animals going on fun adventures with a mixture of terror and awe. The same need to know what everyone sees in something I don't really want to like that inspired my analysis of ReZero is the same feeling that had me looking out over Japati Park and questioning, what exactly do people see in this show that looks as if it was animated for and by the smallest of children? Hello, I'm Aaox, and I just spent the last 4 hours of my life watching Kemono Friends. For the uninformed, Tokyo Jungle the animation, Kemono Friends is an anime based on a cancelled phone game with the same moniker, where humans have ceased to exist and the animals in an abandoned zoo-cum island called Japati Park have gone all anthro on us and are referred to as friends due to some bizarre interstellar meteorite formation thing resting at the peak of the island's central mountain. Because the only two kinds of things I can review either feature being transported to a fantasy world or anthropomorphized anime girls, apparently. Also, disconcerting, enigmatic, amorphous alien creatures called ceruleans stalk the park, picking off stray friends and, presumably, all of the humans. Yes, that's correct. In Kemono, we finally have the day of the Triffids vs. Dora the Explorer crossover we always dreamed of. It's exactly as strange as it sounds. Kemono Friends walks up and says, "Hey kids, let's go on a fun adventure to the Magic Mountain. But first, let's piece together the shattered remains of this once great civilization." But hold on a moment, if you're watching the YouTube video, and I'm doing the YouTube video, then who's driving the plot? That'd be our little buddy cop duo Kaban and Serval, of course. General trapping goes that Kaban, the only human left, apparently wakes up in the savannah area with no memories, because, of course, she doesn't have any memories. What did you think this was? Not anime. There she meets Serval, an anthropomorphized, you guessed it, Serval, and neither of them know what kind of animal Kaban is. As cliche and context dictates, they befriend one another, partner up, and head to the far-off library to find out, making friends with friends and solving problems on the way, whilst at the same time providing the viewer subtle, and sometimes not too subtle, hints about the nature of this bizarre alien invasion mutation. It's basically The Road. And listen, I have to call myself out here because I know I previously called Konosuba's animation, and I quote, "It's ugly, alright? It's kind of ugly from time to time." Clearly I had no idea what I was talking about. Konosuba looks at Kemono Friends and blinks out of existence, because if that's animation, what the hell is it? Kemono's got it bad. No qualifying statements here, no give it time and you'll get used to it nonsense. Just straight up, there will always be parts that hit you with a sentiment equivocal to, wow, this sort of looks like the animation equivalent of a tire fire, huh? The characters appear less like their inner scene and more like their 3D objects dragged and dropped onto a 2D background, and I know that's exactly what it is, but the idea is generally to make it seem congruous. Kemono draws between its characters and its backgrounds align harder than the Berlin Wall. It's less a matter of getting used to it and more a matter of Stockholm Syndrome. The first time I gave it a shot, it was to see what the deal with Grey Wolf was, as her design is just... But I honestly couldn't get past the first 15 seconds of the episode I'd chosen to watch before, feeling as betrayed and confused I did the first time my best friend slapped a draw 4 on me during the old family Uno nights. I had to abscond. The animation is really that bad. But people love this thing. Like, they really, really love it. Traffic to zoos skyrocketed. The OP hit number 3 on the iTunes charts. The first episode reached 4 million views on Nico Nico Doga, outing Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online. If you know me, you know I can't let sleeping dogs lie, and I felt that old noir detective-esque pang that comes with the phrase, God, I have to be missing something. I need to get to the bottom of this. The curiosity that the horror protagonist experiences that causes them to pull back the shower curtain to a chorus of "Don't go in there" is the same curiosity that compelled me to start this, and so I went in with a partner to see if I couldn't solve the case, whiskey glass in hand, and, you know, there was something. I won't deny it. Look at this extraordinarily high-quality animation. The primary draw for me is, as you may have ascertained, the oblique yet omnipresent undercurrent of post-apocalyptia that runs throughout the matter of the ceruleans, with a fair helping of the road trip flavor finished with a light brains versus brawn glaze. Constantly, Serval and Caban run into relics of the devastated past in a manner not entirely dissimilar to Breath of the Wild. I can't believe I'm comparing Kemono Friends and Breath of the Wild. Regularly walking past things like a dilapidated bus, a caved-in motorway, an ancient signpost, and the ED reflects this sense of merrymaking centuries dead, with a song that feels as though it'd be more at home in Penguin Drum, and shots of a park that look like they could have been right out of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Wait it. Hold on. Hold on, what? Occasionally characters will say things that just feel really out of place. Whilst looking at the receding figures of Serval and Caban, a character remarks, "So she wasn't annihilated, huh?" In another occasion, a character remarks that the reason why there's so few friends out is because the ceruleans are out in force that day, and the line sounds 2 clicks away from aliens.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
It's dark. There is a darkness behind the cutesy, poorly animated front. It's like if the Wiggles sold drugs to kids backstage. Of course, I don't mean to overblow it. The threat is minimal throughout. The emphasis rather shifted towards the vague desolation and implied mass exodus of the humans used to run this place due to the threat of the ceruleans. Do not be confused. If the radical animal facts during the eye catchers didn't tell you already, this is something aimed at a younger audience. But it's aimed at a younger audience in the same way something in the vein of Bravest Warriors is aimed at a younger audience.
Catbug! Did you murder the Toast Goblin?
Yeah!
There's a surreal, unexpected weirdness running through it. Of course, Kemono's got more than just the allusions to post-apocalyptia in an otherwise pleasant and friendly setting that gives it the reason to stick around. Otherwise, Mary Poppins 2 Life After Steeple would have sold gangbusters. I am proud of that one. There are consistent arcs in this show and moments of actual, genuine hype that are largely a result of 3 things. The fantastic battle music, because you would be surprised how much the battle music improves any given fight scene in this, the charming characters, and the whole brains versus brawn angle I mentioned earlier. Caban is, big spoilers, a human, and humans are special because they can think laterally and engineer inventive solutions to problems despite being physically weak, whereas the friends tend to be more about utilizing their very specific bestial traits. The difference between Caban and Serval is the difference between a Swiss Army knife and a claymore, if you will. The main arc shows Serval learning how to think complexly like Caban, and Caban learning how to be brave and strong like Serval. It's straightforward, simple enough that a kid could catch it, but it's still a very pleasant character arc. At the start, Caban helps Serval defeat a cerulean by distracting it with a paper airplane, something Serval has no idea was even possible. Meanwhile, Caban can't climb trees like Serval can. At the end of the series, Serval uses a paper airplane to distract a cerulean, and Caban climbs a tree like Serval did. Again, straightforward, but still, it's a more consistent arc with more payoff than these sorts of things in anime tend to get. Another example is how at the beginning of this series a character remarks that the rule in Japati Park is that you fend for yourself because, you know... So naturally, at the end of the journey, in a moment that's legitimately so cool it breaks past the terrible animation and enters the realm of the true hype, every friend they've made over the course of the journey all forego that rule and team up together to take down a giant cerulean. It's an arc via blunt force trauma, but that's not necessarily detrimental. Obvious doesn't always have to mean bad, after all. Better a sledgehammer in the face than a knife in the grundle, as my great-grandpappy used to say. It helps that Serval, Caban, and pretty much every other character in Kemono are extraordinarily lovable, and the dynamic between our 2 leads especially grows into this inseparable bond where, you know, they'd go to the ends of the earth for one another, and I like it a lot. And you know, this show about a stranger in a strange land teaming up with the locals to outthink seemingly insurmountable odds using their heads instead of their fists it's not the first time I've seen that kind of plot, and it's a personal favorite cliche of mine. So at the end of my investigation, what ultimately was the takeaway from watching this? Did I like it? Yeah, I actually think I did. It's not fantastic, it's barely even good most of the time really, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Does that mean much given my rock bottom expectations? That's also a bit up in the air. Suffice it to say, I did intermittently enjoy my time in Japati Park, and in those few bizarre moments of actual, genuine, thrilling hype, I found myself almost gripped. There is a simple joy to be found in Kemono Friends, nonetheless pleasant for its intended target target audience, and it's something that not many other shows can measure up to. If you want something fun and lighthearted with a dash of mystery, I would find it hard to not recommend Getting on the Bus with Serval and Caban. And that's, well, more than anything else, that's confusing, really. I'm having trouble reconciling my critical opinion that the show's pretty mediocre with my personal affection for it, but hey, as much as I might strain against it, if something is good, it's good, and that's just another one of those little
rules of nature!
First you need to take a dump.